seat and venue in arbitration. I must say that being an arbitration practitioner, that one of the most controversial topic in domestic and international arbitration is to decide what is the seat of arbitration and what is the venue of arbitration and what is the place of arbitration. So while dealing with the topic in my talk, I will explain the basic concepts, the relevancy of these concepts, and how Indian courts, in fact, have perceived these different principles and applied facts. So, just to start with the basic concepts, the first and foremost thing is the choices of law in arbitration. Those who have studied the arbitration as student or practicing arbitration as lawyer, you have noticed that there are three components to choice of law in arbitration. First being law governing the contract or substantive law, the law which applies to substance of the dispute. For example, Indian Contract Act, that's a law governing contract. Now, second is law governing arbitration, which is called lex arbitrii as well. So here the question or the principle of severability comes, that law governing the main contract and arbitration agreement can be severed. So you can choose law of contract of Indian law, that is Indian Contract Act. So far as law governing arbitration, you have the choice to have English Arbitration Act or maybe Singapore Arbitration Act. Now, that's the importance and party autonomy, that law governing arbitration can be different from the law governing contract. Now, having said so, the law of arbitration agreement also has a procedural portion which can be called procedural law. So if you are choosing, for example, CEAC or ICC, those are the procedural rules which will be applicable to arbitration. So seeing in one arbitration, you have three applicable laws, rules present. So the interplay is very important. I wanted to emphasize this choice of law because this has the consequence in my discussion on seat. Now, coming to second principle, what is the difference between domestic and Indian arbitration? One, domestic arbitration is that when two parties, or more than two parties also, it can be in a contract, all the parties are Indian, and the arbitration is called domestic arbitration. In case one of the parties to the contract or the arbitration agreement is based out of India, then it will be called international arbitration, or ICA, international commercial arbitrations. You have the definition in section 2(1)(f), I think. Now, just keep in mind that Arbitration Act, part 1 of the Arbitration Act, which deals with both domestic as well as international commercial arbitration, if they're seated in India. Like domestic arbitration compulsory is seated in India. International commercial arbitration as well, it can be seated in India. Provided one of the parties is out of India, then it's called international commercial arbitration. Now, the third aspect or the topic of today's talk is the seat of arbitration. What is seat of arbitration? See, arbitrations are always anchored to the seat, which is also called place or situs of arbitration. As Redfern has rightly said, that seat is the center of gravity in an arbitration. What is the reason? Reason being that courts of seat exercise jurisdiction to supervise or conduct of the arbitration. Seat determines the applicable legislation. That's the importance of seat. Now, having said so, that it supervises to what extent? If you look at any arbitration which is conducted in India, you have to approach court at a certain point of time. It may be section 11, it may be section 9 for interim relief, it may be for 34, for challenge. So when you approach a court, definition of court is defined in section 2(1)(e), except section 11, which is always high court. In case of domestic arbitration or in case of international commercial arbitration is Supreme Court for appointment of arbitrator. So seat of arbitration has very important role to play in any arbitration, be domestic or international or commercial arbitration. And also parties generally choose a neutral seat. For example, if you are contracting with some Middle East company, if you're contracting with Iraq, one company based in Iraq. So Indian company and Iraq company, neither of them would like to submit to the jurisdiction of the court of their, the opposite party. So they try to choose a neutral forum, which can only be done by arbitration. So they choose London as a seat of arbitration. So the basic concept is that the applicable law and the associated ancillary to arbitration, if you're choosing a neutral place, there would be sort of neutrality in application, which is applied to both the parties. So that's the importance of choice of seat as a neutral place. Now in domestic scenario also, for example, one party is from Delhi, another party is from Gujarat. They choose to have the seat of arbitration in Mumbai. They think that we should have some neutral forum, neutral place, neutral seat of arbitration. So let's have Mumbai as a seat of arbitration. Now coming to the question of what is venue of arbitration, which is completely different from seat. Venue is determined as per the convenience of the tribunal, maybe party, maybe the witness, or in certain circumstances, maybe the facility applicable available to arbitration. For example, in India, we don't have the facility of real-time transcript. So parties are having arbitration in India. The place or seat of arbitration is in India. They decide to go to Singapore. For what purpose? To avail the facility of transcript, or maybe you have appointed one expert who is based out of Singapore, or other side also has appointed expert based out of Singapore. So you feel that it will be more convenient to travel to Singapore and to have the arbitration hearings done. But whereas the seat of arbitration remains in India. So venue is only for the convenience. So that's the basic difference between seat and venue. I'll come to the portions when seat, when venue amounts to seat, venue amounts to place in my subsequent talk. But I'm giving you the basic concepts first. Now coming to the judicial aspect, the legislative aspect. Now, if you're talking about Arbitration Act, our earlier Arbitration Act 1940 did not have specific reference to juridical seat. It was not inherent to the act, I must say. It was first adopted in UNCITRAL model law, which introduced the concept of place or seat under Article 20. If you look at our Arbitration Act, Section 20 is verbatim of UNCITRAL model law, Article 20. It talks about place of arbitration. So it's very important to know that our act, Indian Act, doesn't anywhere refer seat. It says it's a place of arbitration. So both are used interchangeably. Now, Section 20, I think subsection 3 talks about the concept of venue, because it says that parties of the tribunal, they can hold the arbitration someplace else than the place of arbitration. That is the concept of venue. So your place has been narrated in Section 20 as well as venue in Section 20 of Indian Arbitration Act. Now coming to 2015 amendment, has introduced many changes. For the purpose of today's talk, I think the most important change I must say is that the definition of court to 1E. For domestic arbitration, it is principal civil court or the high court having original jurisdiction. In international commercial arbitration, it is always high court. Now, another important aspect of amendment of 2015 is that 2015 amendment has introduced section 2, I think, proviso, which says that in case of an arbitration which is not seated in India, where the place of arbitration is outside India, unless parties have expressly excluded section 9, section 27, section 37, they can be applied. Section 9 is for interim relief. So if the parties, two parties are having arbitration outside India, say in Singapore, they think that they should approach Indian courts for some interim relief. So one section 9 application can be filed seeking interim relief in India. That option has been given, even if the arbitration is seated outside India. That's extremely important. Judicial changes or the development. First and foremost that comes to my mind is BALCO in 2012. Having said so, how was the situation before BALCO is very important. Most of you, I think you will be aware about pre-BALCO situation, which was governed by Bhatia and Venture Global. There, the concept was that even if arbitration is seated outside India, part 1 applies. So for example, an arbitration is seated in Singapore. You have the arbitral award from Singapore, a tribunal seated in Singapore. Still, you can file section 34 to challenge the arbitral award in India, which is falling within part 1. And there was a sort of a caveat to say that unless part 1 has been expressly or impliedly excluded. That was the position. And what was the consequence is that inevitably most of the foreign award, so any arbitral award passed outside India is called foreign award. Inevitably most of the foreign awards involving Indian parties were challenged in Indian court under section 34. That was very uncalled for situation because that was not the legislative intention. So BALCO in 2012 comes to rescue. But before that, 2 judgments which are not appearing on slide, but are important to mention before BALCO. One is Videocon Industries, which is 2011 Supreme Court decision. In this case, the venue, the arbitration agreement provided the venue of arbitration is Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. It also says that substantive law of arbitration is English law. Now, what happened in this case is that parties had chosen to have arbitration in London because of some, some sort of issue happened or some pandemic happened in Malaysia. So they had the arbitration held in London. So the question arose whether the seat of arbitration was changed from KL to London or not. Now, Indian Supreme Court decides that seat of arbitration, which is called venue here, because here it was held that venue amounts to seat of arbitration. It was KL only. Because of what reason? Parties did not expressly in writing made any change to have the seat changed to London from KL. So the importance of this judgment is that after Bhatia and Venture till 2018, everything was, part 1 should be applicable in most of the foreign arbitral award. But here, gradually, the departure was coming into place. Next is 2011 decision again of Supreme Court. Dosco versus Dusan. Here, law of contract was Korean law, and disputes were to be settled in Seoul, in Korea only, and it had within bracket a sentence to say that it can be some other place if parties agree. Now, arbitration rule was ICC arbitration rule. What Indian Supreme Court, actually the issue here was Section 11. Section 11 was filed for appointment of arbitrator. Now, Supreme Court said that Section 11 is not maintainable because of what reason? Part 1 does not apply. Why Part 1 does not apply? Because here the law of contract was Korean, that's fine. Disputes to be settled in Seoul. Now, wherever you say that any other place within bracket, that was only a venue aspect. That was not the place. The place remained Korea, Seoul only. So, if you have the Part 1 is not applicable, as I said, then of course Section 11 doesn't apply and petition was dismissed. Now coming to Balco in 2012, which has held that, had changed the position. They overruled Bhatia and Venture prospectively. So it was applicable from all contracts beyond 2012. And the major departure in Balco, which was the welcome law for international arbitration perspective as well. It said that Part 1 is applicable only to arbitration seated in India. So arbitration was made seat-centric, which I must say that it was always the case, but it's the judicial pronouncements and interpretation which I will say diverted the law, the intention of the legislation coming from UNCITRAL. So it again made the things in place, and it said that seat of arbitration is analogous to an exclusive jurisdiction. So as I said, that seat determines the jurisdiction of the court supervising the arbitration. So it was said that once seat is determined, then exclusive jurisdiction of the court remains in that seat. And it also said that venue is not synonymous to seat. Now, I will discuss the post-Balco cases henceforth, which will talk about in what all scenario, place and venue of arbitration were used to determine what is the exact seat of arbitration. First judgment that comes to my mind post Balco is Reliance Industries in 2014. What happened in Reliance, I've given a sort of, the exact relevant portions from the contract or the decisions. In Reliance, law governing contract was Indian. Law governing arbitration agreement was English law. What was held that applicability of Indian Arbitration Act was ruled out by conscious decision and agreement. So it was held that place or seat of arbitration will be London. So, of course, the parties tried to apply in Indian courts, and then Indian Arbitration Act applies, but it was held no. So if you have chosen law governing arbitration as English law, then your place of seat becomes London, UK. Next important decision that sort of relevant for our case, our talk, is that Enercon decision 2014. Here, parties were Indian and German. Venue of arbitration was London. Important. See, the venue of arbitration here was London. Now, agreement said that Indian Arbitration Act will govern the agreement. So, Indian Arbitration Act was applicable, but venue was London. Quite interestingly, it was held that here the venue will not be seat. The venue referred London will not be the seat. Indian Arbitration Act has been applied, and law governing contract also held to be Indian, agreed to be Indian. So in this situation, seat remains in India, not London. So if my point of showing this judgments to sort of project how different combination have been used in different contracts and how the courts in India have held and decide the seat. Now, this aids and bulk in 2016 is also important. Here, the arbitration was seated in London, and law applicable to Arbitration Act was English law. Now, here the Gujarat High Court held that it admitted Section 34, and simultaneously the parties, the other party, the succeeding party, had filed enforcement in Bombay High Court. So the issue had come up before the Supreme Court. Supreme Court held that this is a foreign award and it is passed in London. So Part 1 does not apply. Your Section 34 is not maintainable. So then what is the option you have is Part 2 is for enforcement. So the proceeding before Gujarat High Court was dismissed, and proceedings before Bombay High Court was upheld. Now, another important judgment is Indus Mobile. In Indus Mobile, this is a 2017 decision. This is in domestic scenario because both parties were Indian. Seat of arbitration sort of was determined on the basis of exclusive jurisdiction, because here seat was of course agreed as Mumbai. Now, the importance of this decision is that it reiterates, I not say that it sets out something new principle, but it says that once you have chosen the seat, it automatically gives you exclusive jurisdiction. Though you had the parties had agreed to have exclusive jurisdiction, but it again had reiterated the position that once you have a seat of arbitration, exclusive jurisdiction is analogous to it. Now, next important decision that comes in chronology is IMAX Corporation. IMAX Corporation is of 2017. Here, the law governing contract was Singapore, and jurisdiction of Singapore courts were agreed. The arbitration was under ICC rules. Now, ICC court had decided London as the juridical seat of arbitration, which parties had accepted. So there's a question of seat. Now, under ICC rules, ICC court can decide what is the seat of arbitration. It was decided by the ICC court that London as a seat or place of arbitration. Parties did not object. What happened when one of the parties, of course, the losing party, they filed Section 34 in Bombay High Court. Now, Supreme Court held that in this situation, the conduct of the parties is clear, that they had accepted the verdict of ICC court, which excludes the applicability of Part 1. So Section 34 was dismissed. Now, another landmark judgment is 2017. This is Supreme Court decision. So in fact, I had the opportunity to represent Roger Shashua in the ICC arbitration and in certain aspects in ICC rules. And law governing the contract, which was a shareholders agreement, was Indian law. But interestingly, venue of arbitration was London. In this case, it was held that London is the seat of arbitration, and therefore Section 34 is not maintainable. So Section 34 was filed in Delhi High Court, as well as I think it's Noida, Noida District Court, Gautam Buddha Court. Section 34 was filed. Both were held to be not maintainable because seat of arbitration was held to be London, which is coming from where? From venue of arbitration. So if you look at the trend, if you have a seat given in the arbitration agreement, seat or place, then it's quite clear enough. You don't have to apply your mind. You straight away go that my seat is XYZ. It may be India, it may be Singapore, London. But once you have venue of arbitration written there in the agreement, not the seat, then how do you determine what is the seat? That was the sort of analysis given in all these judgments. And if you have noticed the trend, the dispute arises when there's a venue written, and if you have some supranational rules, body of rules, ICC or CI, taking together, you decide the seat of arbitration. Next judgment in this line is Hardy Exploration, which was the purpose is a three judges bench decision. The purpose of reference this to a three judges bench in Hardy Exploration was to set the law correct or put into right place, because if I have shown you all these 7-8 judgments, there was no definite criteria for determination of seat. So it was referred to a larger bench, three judges bench, to decide what will be the criteria to determine seat. So in this case, in Hardy Exploration, what happened? It was a UNCITRAL model law applicable to arbitration. Now, see, important is venue of arbitration is Kuala Lumpur, KL. Now, of course, there's no determination of seat in the arbitration. What the Supreme Court held that KL is not a seat of arbitration. Courts in India, in this case, it was a Delhi High Court Section 34, will have jurisdiction, and the venue does not amount to seat. Venue scale that doesn't amount to seat of arbitration. Now, the purpose of reference this to larger bench, three judges bench, was to set the principle correct of to determine how to arrive at a right seat if it is silent in the contract. Now, what it does is that it sort of gives explanation to it. It does not set out any rule or guidelines. It says that venue can become a seat if something else is added to it as a concomitant. So what is the concomitant is, of course, a disputing question. So I'll give an example what I've been experiencing. In one of my arbitration, agreement mentioned place of arbitration was London, and it was under ICC rule. Arbitration happened in London. We did the arbitration in London. It was pre-Balco arbitration, so we filed section 34. Now, of course, in present situation, section 34 doesn't lie. Pre-Balco, of course, it lies. Now, question before the tribunal was, what was the seat of arbitration or place? What we had argued on behalf of my Indian client is that this agreement, the main contract, had a law governing governing law clause, sort of, which granted exclusive jurisdiction of a particular court in India. So there, my argument was that since you have exclusive jurisdiction of Indian courts, that is analogous to seat. The London, which was mentioned as a place of arbitration, it was only for convenience. So it was a venue of arbitration. So you see how to play around with the words is very important, and the situation, this kind of situation can only occur when your contract has some issue, in the sense some sort of discrepancy, or things are not clear, not explicit. Then there's a question of interpretation, and then how you arrive or derive the seat is very important. Now, as I said that Hardy said that venue automatically does not become seat. Something else has to come along with the venue to say that that's the seat of arbitration. Now, what happened in DGS, SGS, this is again a three judges bench in 2019. Justice Rohinton Nariman was not very happy with the Hardy Exploration. Many of us were not happy with the Hardy Exploration. What this three judges bench in BGS has held that Hardy did not apply Balco, and therefore it is not it's not a good law. It's contrary to five judges bench. It says that if Hardy had applied Rajah-Shashua principle, because there's a part of it, there's some decision from UK court as well. So it says that if Shosua principle was applied by Hardy, KL would have been the seat. Now see, within bracket I have put the determining criteria. You have a venue, you have supranational set of rules, which is in this case in Hardy it was UNCITRAL rules. So if you apply both, then automatically KL will be the seat of arbitration, not a venue. So BGA said that Hardy cannot be considered to be a good law. Now, last leg of case law, which is the latest case law on this topic, is Mancustu Impex 2020, very recent decision. I think sometime in March, the decision had come. This is a division bench judgment. Quite interestingly, this arbitration agreement said the place of arbitration is Hong Kong. It also had, in the same clause, say that disputes in arbitrations will be settled in arbitration administered in Hong Kong. It doesn't say Hong Kong HKIC rules. It says administered in Hong Kong. What Supreme Court does, this is, just keep in mind, this is in section 11 jurisdiction. This is not to do with 34, 37 SLP, nothing. This is 11. In 11 court held that is not sufficient to designate Hong Kong as a seat of arbitration. Is very unusual, because what I have shown you that once you have decided or agreed the place or seat, then there is no dispute. There is no dispute which what will be the seat of arbitration, because it's already given in the agreement. Here the court had said that I'm taking help of the other portion which says that arbitration will be administered in Hong Kong. So if you read both together, then Hong Kong becomes a seat of or place of arbitration. So outcome or the result is satisfactory, because of course Hong Kong was held to be seat. But how it has arrived at the conclusion that why the place of arbitration should be Hong Kong may create some sort of a confusion in subsequent decisions. An important aspect is that one of the parties to this case had raised the question of Hardy and BGS dichotomy, to the extent that both are coordinate benches. So BGS could not have held Hardy not correct or good in law. Anyway, so what happened in this Mancustu is that the judge has conveniently avoided that question for decision, because it said that I have a definite answer from the interpretation of contract. So I don't need to get into whether BGS was right to say that Hardy is not good in law or not. That's not a question relevant for me. So that's how the jurisprudence of seat, venue, place has evolved in before Indian courts. Now that's entire thing with my slide. Now what I wanted to say is that if you have noticed, the issue becomes the issue of seat becomes relevant when you have the arbitration clause insufficient. Sometimes it's pathological, because you have arbitration clause mentioning that venue of arbitration is is somewhere in Delhi or maybe London somewhere, but you have to derive what is the seat of arbitration from venue and applicable law. There is that. But if you were correcting your position at the time of entering into agreement and not draft a pathological arbitration clause, I don't think you'll get into all these aspects. Because I always say that purpose of arbitration is to settle the disputes. And what is the dispute? Disputes on merits. So if you are getting into decision of your merits dispute, and first and foremost threshold is the seat of arbitration, there you are spending your time, effort, cost and everything, then what's the fun, what's the point? So I always say that your arbitration clause, this is not perfect arbitration clause, it's a model arbitration clause you can follow, but keep in mind that especially for any of the participants, if you are in corporate, this arbitration clause is not, I will say, taken due notice when drafting the contract. It's called midnight clause. They just cut copy from somewhere else, which may not be applicable, may not be suiting the contract. So you should concentrate on the arbitration agreement. You should determine your place of or seat of arbitration. Once you have decided, then nothing can stop you to apply the law of the place or seat. Now, important is venue. What is the importance of venue? For example, one of my clients said that, sir, I want to have arbitration seated in Switzerland. I said, very fancy. Of course, you can do that. But do you know that major languages in Switzerland, is there are 4 languages. English is not the major national language. So you'll have so much of hurdles. So to getting into national courts and doing other things. So you have a seat of arbitration which is friendly in terms of language. Of course, you have to consider other factors as well. But there I twisted from language. You can have your venue of arbitration, because if you're fanciful to go to Switzerland to have arbitration, you can do that. But don't chase venue, chase seat. Now, more importantly, before 2015 amendment, Indian arbitration scenario was very poor in the sense of time, cost, and everything. One arbitration used to take 10 years. So no one would like to have India as a seat of arbitration. 2015 Amendment Act with 2019, there's a set timeline. Now Indian courts are also pro-arbitration. You are looking all these pro-enforcement judgments by Delhi High Court, Supreme Court. So gradually India is attracting as a place of arbitration. So if you have to have a conscious choice to have a seat of arbitration as India to minimize your cost, that's a reality. Sometimes you don't want to travel to Singapore, London to save cost, expenses. So you should be careful to put India as India in the sense any of the cities in India as a seat of arbitration, and don't keep it loose, vague terms, so that there's a possibility of chances of interpretation from the contract itself. So with that, I think I would like to take a few questions if possible.
So I think we left one recent decision of Supreme Court, Kamachi Industries, Barami Rivers case. I think it was before BGS.
Oh yeah, right. I don't recollect what was the seat of arbitration, but what I vaguely remember that it was a sort of agreement did not mention the exact seat. It was determined on the basis of law. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
Madras and Odisha. So actually, with respect to which court would have jurisdiction, whether the venue was Bhubaneswar, so the parties were disputing with respect to whether Odisha court would have jurisdiction or Madras, and the same. Yeah.
Okay, right. So it is again a domestic setup. See, so far as there's another important aspect I must mention. If you're having domestic arbitration, of course, there again the question of seat can come. The way it happened, it is whether it is Chennai or Bhubaneswar may be a question. Now you link your seat with jurisdiction of court, which is 2(1)(e), right? If you look at 2(1)(e), it refers to court of principal civil court, which has jurisdiction, which can determine the subject matter of arbitration. So earlier the issue was that in domestic setup, taking clue from this judgment. So if you have the cause of action has arisen partly in Chennai and partly in Bhubaneswar, then which one will be the seat of arbitration, or how do you approach the court? Which court you approach? Now, again, you have to keep in mind that when you say the subject matter of arbitration, though the cause of action may have arisen in one state, but if your contract mention some other state, then you cannot file any application in the first state where the cause of action arisen, but which is not the seat of arbitration. You must follow the jurisdiction of seat. So it's a seat-centric again. So for domestic arbitration as well, similar to international commercial arbitration, seat follows the jurisdiction of the court. And a couple of decisions have already shown that once you have chosen the seat of arbitration is analogous to exclusive jurisdiction, then you can't go anywhere else. Now see the situation: if your contract is silent on the seat in domestic setup, so whether you go to Chennai or Delhi, the cause of action is arisen. Now one party has filed, for example, Section 9 application in Delhi. So your contract is silent, which is the seat. Now Section 9 is filed in Delhi. Applying Section 42 of Arbitration Act, all subsequent applications shall lie before the same court, before Delhi only. So in such situation, if the question comes, what will be the seat of arbitration? Seat of arbitration will be held to be Delhi, because Section 9 has already been admitted and court has accepted jurisdiction without other side's objection. If the other side had to raise an objection that this cannot be held to be a seat, he could have done it. But if it is not done, then seat automatically becomes where the first Section 9 was filed. And how the Section 9 was filed? Section 21E. And Section 21E confers the jurisdiction of the court. Therefore, you link it with the seat. That becomes a seat.
So there is a question about the test applied in NARCON versus NARCON, the closest connection test. We have seen Supreme Court and following English approach and applying the test to determine the seat. Can you discuss about it?
Yeah. See, now closest connection, if you see, again the problem occurs if you don't mention the law governing arbitration agreement. So it can be a situation that you don't have the law governing arbitration mentioned with the seat mentioned, right? So then you see the closest connection is the seat, because it's again lex arbitrii. So it's law of the seat shall be applicable. So your law governing arbitration agreement becomes the law of the seat. That's how you determine the missing part. The question is how to determine the missing part. Similarly, if you have the seat mentioned in an arbitration, automatically your law governing arbitration becomes of the seat. So if it's not mentioned, then you can automatically deduce what is the law governing arbitration agreement from the seat. But the question becomes, if the venue is mentioned and you have the seat mentioned, venue mentioned and law governing arbitration mentioned, then how do you deduce the seat? That's the question. So NARCON has said the principle right, but I would say that after 2015 amendment, starting from Balco, in fact, in Indian context, part 1 applicability has been completely excluded once the seat of arbitration is outside India. Once the arbitration is held to be seated outside India, part 1 does not apply. So your Indian Arbitration Act does not apply at all. Like part 2 applies for enforcement. So I think the job is much simpler now to arrive at a right seat. Only question is that once the venue is given, other two is missing. How to determine that?
Sir,
sorry, yeah, please.
Sir, we have received a question. The question says, what happens when parties incorporate both clauses in their contract, and the clauses are the exclusive jurisdiction clause as well as the seat of jurisdiction?
So you mean to say that exclusive jurisdiction clause mention is different than the seat?
The question says, what happens when parties incorporate both clauses in their contract, that is exclusive jurisdiction clause and clause providing seat of arbitration?
Oh, right. So as I said, see, if both are of same, then of course there's no doubt, but your question must be that exclusive jurisdiction is if of some place else than the seat of arbitration. See, I would say from all this principle laid down by the courts in India and abroad also, once you have given a seat of arbitration, your exclusive jurisdiction clause or jurisdiction of that place will take precedence over your exclusive jurisdiction clause mentioned in the contract. But still, I would say that the contract, what you were, you're giving an option of contract, is sort of a pathological, because it creates controversy. But if you take the simplest logic that seat governs the court's jurisdiction, then once you determine the seat of arbitration or place of arbitration, then the exclusive jurisdiction of the seat remains, and your mention about exclusive jurisdiction of some other place should not be considered.
So there is another question. It was started in the beginning of this session, and I also received the email with respect to the same question. We see now arbitration, all this alternative form or the non-alternative form are moving to online. So there are online dispute resolutions mechanism as well. Now people are asking that what will be the seat and venue in that cases?
Yeah, so very pertinent question, because now if your online dispute resolution is a trending thing, and is many of the institutions that they are developing online dispute resolution for maybe small amount of small claim arbitration cases. Now, I would suggest, because I have not experienced online arbitration so far, but your agreement, arbitration agreement, should mention the seat of arbitration, right? So that remains the seat of arbitration throughout, to supervise the jurisdiction, or to get the supervisory jurisdiction of the court. But the mode of arbitration is online. For example, if you're having a Zoom cross-examination, one person sitting in Delhi, one person sitting in London, one person sitting in Mumbai. So, and for example, tribunal sitting someplace else. So that can be given a color of venue. So, sort of venue is changing. The tribunals, for example, sitting in somewhere, some part in South, in Bangalore. So you can see the venue of arbitration for convenience of the tribunal is made Bangalore, but seat of arbitration, which is already mentioned in the contract, will remain as what was there, maybe Delhi or Mumbai. So I don't see much of disputes in online dispute resolution so far as the seat is concerned, because you have already predetermined. Now, if your online dispute resolution mechanism that does not contain the seat, there is a possibility how to derive the seat, where the tribunal is sitting, where the parties have gone, how the contract is worded, what law applied. So I think you can very well define in your contract itself what is the seat of arbitration in case of online arbitration.
All right, sir. Also, the recent question is that what is the settled law at the moment, Hardy or BGS Soma?
See, Hardy Oil does not say anything adverse, I would say. It creates a bit of confusion. What is the concomitant factor is not defined. That creates problem. In fact, I have taken help of Hardy in one of my cases because of this confusion. So the position remains as settled by BALCO, and subsequent decisions starting from Impex or Enercon, Rajesh Ashwa, everything remains same. Now, Hardy gives a sort of a loophole to determine, the seat in case it's not mentioned. Some additional factor is given along with the venue. Then you can determine what is the venue, what is the seat is not mentioned. So I would say that Hardy creates confusion, which sort of has been BSG, the coordinated judgment bench judgment, has sort of reprimanded, and he said that it is in contravention of settled principle by BALCO. But I think is more or less position is settled. Not much of controversy left.
So another question that we have received is from Ms. Deepika Sekar. She says, venue is London, choice of contract and arbitration is India. What happens to seat here?
I got your question. Now, in this case, you must see that I hope you don't have any arbitration rule applicable, like for example, ICC, SISC rules, nothing. In such situation, if you say that venue of arbitration outside India, and you say that Indian Arbitration Act applies, law governing contract is, I would say that immaterial in this case. You have law governing arbitration agreement mentioned. So India remains the seat of arbitration and your venue will be held to be London, like you have decided the venue. Now, if you have a supranational body like ICC, given all the analysis by Roger Shashua, sort of Balco also says the same thing, and BSG as well, then you may have a trouble whether your venue automatically becomes seat or not is a question. If so, your venue becomes seat, London becomes seat. Keep in mind that in your specific mention that Indian Arbitration Act applies goes for a toss, because once you move out of India, place becomes London. Your Indian Arbitration Act does not apply. Any particular question?
No, sir. As of now, nothing. So I think we are, about to complete it. We have 5 minutes left. So why don't you conclude and tell us the possible solution out of it, and what should be the determining factor according to you, with as per your experience?
I'll give you another example. It's a live example. What I'm like before the talk, I was working on that arbitration. See, there was an arbitration agreement between one Indian party, one German party. What they do is that they say that arbitration disputes will be settled through arbitration under the jurisdiction of International Arbitral Institutes. Just imagine the kind of vagueness the arbitration clause has. So what is International Reputed Arbitral Institute is a question that parties have to agree, right? Now, the contract does not mention what is the seat of arbitration. Contract doesn't mention, for very importantly, what is the law governing the contract. So the basic problem what I'm facing is that how to determine each and every aspect, how to plug the loopholes. First question is that what will be a law governing contract? So I have to see the substantial function of obligation under the contract, which I find in India. So I can say Indian Contract Act will be applicable. Second question, what will be the law of arbitration or arbitration agreement? There I need to take help of that is International Arbitration Institutes. What other side has proposed, ICC or SISC? They're International Reputed Arbitral Institute. The other side is German. So of course they have preferred ICC. In such situation, now see, I have Indian Contract Act applicable. Law of agreement is arbitration agreement is missing. You have the rules, that is ICC or SIAC arbitration rules. Now, how to determine the law of arbitration agreement will be left to the tribunal. And believe me, in this situation, wherever you go, SISC or ICC, no one will determine the law of arbitration as Indian, even though the arbitration, the Indian Contract Act applies, because of the reason that there has to be a neutral seat. Getting my point? So the how to derive the right seat is very important. Now it may be determined by the tribunal, or maybe subsequently or previously it can be determined by the court in section 11. So my basic point is that if you are putting the right clause in arbitration agreement, then you can very well avoid any such disputes. And if you're specific about the seat of arbitration and which is consistent with the law, for example, you should never choose law of arbitration of Singapore and India as a seat of arbitration. You can't do that, because once you have seat of arbitration in India, natural corollary is that Indian Arbitration Act applies. You cannot have law of Singapore. So you can cure all these defects at the very threshold, and that's the objective. The set principle, as has been laid down in different case laws, is that place determines the jurisdiction or supervisory jurisdiction of the court, which has to be in sort of ascertained from the venue and different nexus from the contract. But if you're sorting it out at the very threshold in the contract itself, then I don't think you will get into much trouble.
One last question from what is your opinion on the practice of clauses prescribing the seat as an Indian city and the venue to be overseas in an arbitration friendly jurisdiction?
It's of course it's doable. As I said that see, purpose of venue is convenience. So you can have Indian city as seat of arbitration. You can very well have seat of arbitration, venue of arbitration in Singapore. As I said that you have many facilities available in Singapore. For example, if you have nicely arbitration room unlike what we have in India, you have transcript facility, you have experts who are based out of Singapore. So you have many ancillary things, or maybe if your arbitrator is from Singapore, it can be the case as well. So it's for convenience. You can very well do that. But ultimately the question is cost. For a simple transcript facility also, you end up spending 15 lakhs, 15-20 lakhs for 2 days transcript, 2 days recording of evidence or arguments. So if your clients are ready to bear that expense to have a venue of arbitration abroad, while the seat of arbitration being in Indian city, that's absolutely fine. There's no bar, and your Section 20 permits that. Section 20 of Indian Arbitration Act.
All right, sir, it's the time to end the meeting. Thank you very much, sir. It was very informative and insightful, and we were very grateful to have you. And thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, guys. We will be sharing the presentation with all of you. Please send in your or just send us your request over our email ID info@lexedia.com. Thank you so much, sir. And that's where we end our webinar.
Yeah, in case any of my part of talk was not explanatory enough or some additional query, you can reach out to Lexedia or directly to me as well to discuss, because it's always interesting topic to discuss as well.
Yeah. I just forgot that. Yes, guys, everyone can reach out at the mentioned email ID surjendu2003@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us so that we can refer your questions directly to the sir and provide you with the answer. Thank you so much, sir, for your time, and thank you, everyone. We'll meet again and we'll inform you about the next webinar soon. Thank you.
Thank you all. Goodbye.